It's been 20 years since the United Nations adopted a treaty to protect the rights of children. The Convention on the Rights of the Child has been ratified by nearly all UN member nations, with two exceptions, Somalia and the United States. But while US President Barack Obama wants to change that, he faces serious opposition. Kath Turner reports.
The Convention calls on all of us to help the children of the world.
On November 20, 1989, the United Nations adopted the Convention of the Rights of the Child, the CRC. The treaty was designed with four core principles in mind: non-discrimination, the best interest of the child, rights to life, survival and development, and respect for the views of children. 20 years on, the United Nations Children's Fund claims the CRC has had a significant impact on the welfare of children worldwide. 70 countries have included children's codes into national legislation based on the Convention's provisions. Important steps have been taken to prevent children becoming soldiers or trafficked into prostitution, and the annual number of deaths of children aged under 5 has fallen by 28% in the past 18 years. The UN Convention for the Rights of the Child has 193 ratifications. That's the highest number for any human rights treaties. Only 2 UN member states have not ratified the CRC. One of them is Somalia, which has not had a functioning government for almost 20 years. The other is the United States of America.
It's embarrassing to find ourselves in the company of Somalia, a lawless land.
Advocates say the treaty provides valuable guidelines and would protect American children from abuse and juvenile detention centres. But there's strong resistance in Washington to ratifying the CRC. US critics say the convention could override national sovereignty, and some opponents believe the treaty is anti-family, giving children the right to sue their parents or have an abortion without their consent.
What you see is a movement away from best interest of the child standards, where the parents are the natural guardians of the child's best interests, to a rights-bearing approach, where the child is sort of a solitary rights bearer.
The treaty needs the support of 2/3 of the US Congress in order to be ratified, and right now the numbers fall short.
It is frustrating that the US is the only country that has not approved this, and we certainly hope that progress can soon be made.
I think it's a question of integrity, and I'm actually quite proud of the United States that it says that this is a flawed treaty and we're not going to just sign on to it just so we can be part of the crowd.
But supporters of the CRC insist Washington should be part of the crowd instead of standing against a treaty whose aim is protecting the human rights of children. Kath Turner, Al Jazeera, New York.
Well, we're joined now by Vitit Mantabon in Bangkok. He's a law professor at Chulalongkorn University currently, but was formerly UN Special Rapporteur on the sale of children, child prostitution and child pornography. Thank you very much indeed. Vitit Mantabon, what would you say the Convention for the Rights of the Child has actually achieved so far?
It has led to a certain very positive revolution with regard to promotion and protection of child rights. For example, laws have been changed in some 70 countries to be more child sensitive. There have also been activities to reduce very positively child malnutrition, child mortality on many fronts, while of course many challenges still remain, such as on issues of violence and the need for better child protection.
Did it make a difference to you when you were Special Rapporteur, or looking at it now even from outside the job, that the US has not signed on yet? And I noticed actually that the UK only signed last year.
The UK signed a long time ago. And actually the US is a party to 2 treaties on child rights, the Protocol on Children in Armed Conflicts and the Protocol on the Sale of Children. But the US is not yet a party to the main treaty, which is the Child Rights Convention. And we would like to welcome the US very soon, hopefully, into this global bonding, so to speak, to bring everyone on board for child rights.
Right, actually, the UK actually did not sign on until 2008 to the whole of the treaty because it was worried that it would create loopholes for child asylum seekers to come into the country. So what do you make of this reluctance as compared to the countries like in this region who have signed on?
All countries in Asia are parties to the Child Rights Convention, and increasingly countries are becoming parties to the 2 protocols as well. I would just say that in regard to some countries, they become parties but they enter reservations not to accept various provisions. And I think that's the position in regard to many countries all over the world, including my own country, Thailand. But as regards the US, I think that there are three particular issues. Number one is it's a federal system. So some quarters of the US feel that it might be difficult to adapt to the federal setting. But I don't think it's that difficult because we have other federal countries such as Brazil, which are parties. Number two, there's the traditional family lobby that thinks that family rights should be negatively affected. Right. But that's not quite correct because the Child Rights Convention does abide by family rights and it respects parents. And the state comes in particularly where parents are not able or willing to fulfill the obligations towards children. So it's respectful of child rights in that context. And thirdly, there was the issue a while back on executions, capital punishment facing those under 18 years of age. But that has now been solved because the Supreme Court has now said that children under 18 should not be punished and in terms of capital punishment, and that is in accordance with the Child Rights Convention.
Right, so still some threats there. Thank you very much indeed, Vitit Mantabon, joining us live from Bangkok.